Hi! Today we're going to learn about proving trig equations. Let's say for an example like this. Sine of theta times cotangent of theta is equal to cosine theta. We also have another example, but we'll get to that later. Now, before we even solve anything, the first thing we have to do is convert everything on one side of the equation to sine and cosine. The reason why is because sine and cosine are the basis of everything. For example, tangent is sine over cosine, and cotangent is 1 over tangent, which is cosine over sine. So everything goes and falls into sine and cosine. And you can convert it, and that's why we change it. So let's change that. We have cotangent, so cotangent would be sine theta multiplied by cosine theta over sine theta, and that's equal to cosine theta. So, how did I know that this was cosine over sine? Well, cotangent is 1 over tangent. So in order to find out what cotangent is, you take the reciprocal of tangent. And if tangent was sine over cosine, then this one is cosine over sine. And as you know from basic fractions, you can cross out the denominators, and you get cosine of theta is equal to cosine of theta. So let's move on to the next problem. We have sine of theta times cosine theta over 1 minus sine squared theta. Now, you could use this and you could go from there. But the thing is that you have to look at the least complicated side. Sometimes they're both complicated, sometimes you have to just choose one. But usually if there's one really complicated side and one really simple side, then you would want to go with the more complicated side, because that probably isn't fully simplified, and you can change it. Like, you can change this from tangent to sine over cosine, but it's harder to go to open up than to close. So let's move on from here. Sine theta multiplied by cosine of theta over 1 minus sine squared theta. Well, there is a theorem, and this is the basis of proving trig equations, that is, I'm just going to write it here, sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta is equal to 1. Everything is the basis off of it. So even this equation, you could take out, if you want to know what 1 minus sine squared theta, you should automatically think it's cosine, because you can just take out sine squared theta minus sine squared theta, and then if you just have cosine squared theta. So you could change it like that. So you would have sine theta cosine theta over cosine squared theta, and that's equal to tangent of theta. The next thing you do is simplify. If you have, for example, in a simple fraction, if you had 3 times 2 over 4, you know that 2 and 4 both can be divided by 2, so you just say 3 times 1 divided by 2. Similarly, you could do it here. You could cross out this cosine and this cosine, and then you would have sine theta over cosine theta is equal to tangent theta. And then we get our answer, which I'm going to write here. Tangent theta is equal to tangent theta. Today we learned about proving trig equations. Thank you for watching this video.